Hi there guys, Tom Quayle here for Guitar Interactive Magazine. As usual, back with another review. And this time we are looking at this on the floor here. Now this is the TC Electronics Ditto X4. And we've had a few iterations of the Ditto up to this point, starting with the tiny little Ditto, which was a real revelation at the time, to now this big beast. And this is still just as simple to use with a quick bit of experimentation as the original Ditto. The design is basically such that you can use it very, very quickly, and it's got a lot of features, but it's not that complex to use. So looking at the pedal itself, you can see we've got basically two loops. So we've got loop 1 and loop 2, and for those two loops we've got individual levels and individual start, stop, overdub and record buttons. And then we've got a decay dial. Now the decay dial allows us to record a loop and then have it decay in the background so that we can record more and more loops, and when we record them the previous ones will decay away. So that's a nice feature you don't see a lot on looper pedals. I've got it turned all the way clockwise so that it's actually there's no decay at all for this particular demonstration, but you can add the decay in if you want. And then finally we've got our FX dial, which has got 7 different effects on there. Ranging from things like tape stop features, double time, half time, playing a loop just once, holding a loop, reverse, and a fade function as well. So there's some really cool effects on there for creative purposes. The buttons on the top, so on the bottom, sorry, we've got loop 1, loop 2, then we've got a stop function, and there's the effects function. They're soft switches, so they're really, really nice and tactile. There's no kind of latching switches here. These are all soft, very nice, easy to use, so you can get very accurate with your time. Now, there's a couple of switches, as well. Each loop has its own, these two switches here, have their own store function, which you can basically flip up once to actually store the loop, hold it up to delete the loop, and then there's the level here that you can switch to for the backing track. Now what that actually means is, for each of these loop parameters, so you've got loop 1 and loop 2, you can actually use a USB cable to load in an MP3 file or an existing WAV file and use that as a backing track, and thereby with those switches you can actually change the level of those backing tracks using loop 1 and loop 2's level control, which is very cool. And then we've got a serial and sync button. Now in serial mode, basically the two loops function separately from one another. So should I record something in loop 1 and then press loop 2, we'll switch to loop 2 and loop 1 will stop. Okay, and then vice versa. Then we press loop 1 again, loop 2 will stop, and loop 1 will start playing. In sync mode, you can actually use those two loops together for a multitude of very cool creative effects. And you can layer up different loops within two separate loop kind of slots, if you like, but have them play at the same time, which is very, very cool indeed, very useful for layering up more complex sounds. Okay, so each of those can have up to 5 minutes of loop time as well, which is very cool. And then finally, the USB on the back also allows you to upload those loops to a digital audio workstation like Cubase or Logic or whatever you use as well, at very high audio quality. We've also got a couple of MIDI ports on there for synchronization. There's a MIDI out and a MIDI in and a MIDI out or MIDI through, which allows you to do synchronization with the unit and then send those MIDI signals to anything else you need, maybe a digital delay or whatever, which is very useful indeed. And then we've got true stereo operations, so mono in, mono out, and then left and right in, left and right out. So very fully featured. The only other thing that's worth mentioning is the 4 dip switches on the back before I show you some examples. And the dip switches allow you to customize the way the unit works. So for instance, to give you an idea, do you want the unit to go record first, then into overdub mode, and then into play mode, or do you want it to go record, and then play, and then have to press again to go into overdub. You can switch between Drew bypass and buffered bypass mode. You can switch the way that the loops will alternate between one another. So do you want a sort of synchronized system where when you switch to loop 2, it switches at the end of loop 1's loop, if you like, or do you want it to switch immediately? Things like that. So you can customize the way the unit works, which is super cool. Again, not seen that before, so that's a very nice feature. So what I want to do, just demonstrate some basic functionality here. I'm going to record into loop 1 and show you how that functions. We'll just use loop 1 for the minute. When we've got loop 1 functioning, I'm going to show you some of the effects parameters as well. So let me record a small loop and we'll see what we get. So this shows you kind of the quality operation here. It's so easy to record these loops in time. So we'll do this. So you can hear there that functions so easily. Basically, press once to record, it'll then go into play mode when you've finished the loop, and then we're going into overdub mode. You could have it function the other way, where you press record, then go into overdub mode, so the light will stay red. You can overdub as many times as you want, and then press the function again, or the loop 1, and it will go into play mode and stop recording. So that's very, very cool. Very simple to use. What I'm going to do now is basically I'm going to show you, I'm going to start the loop, and then we'll go through the different effects. And what I'll do is I will literally just dial through them, so that you can see how they function. Now at certain points I may need to press stop and then start the loop again. If, by the way, I wanted to clear this loop now, I just hold down the stop function and it will clear the loop. If I wanted to store the loop, I could go to the store function, press it up once, and I will get the loop. So if I do that now, you see it flashed, that loop is now stored, so if I pulled the power out, I would still have that loop in there, which is very cool. So I'll press play and then go through the effects. So we'll start with tape stop, and then hopefully as I change the dial, you'll be able to see which ones I'm using. Okay, so you can see there the effect that the effects are having. The last one once just stopped because it was at the end of the loop, by the way, but what that would do is basically make the loop play once. So some very cool creative effects there. Let me just put it back to tape stop mode. Okay, now what I'm going to do, we are in serial mode, so the loops work independently of one another, not together. So I'm going to basically start loop 1, get it playing, and then I'm going to tap loop 2 and it's going to start recording basically for loop 2, so we get this functionality. So you can see everything there is synchronized to the end of each of the loops. Now we could switch that functionality off, but it's great from a performance perspective. So I hit loop 1 to play, then I hit loop 2 and it waited till the end of loop 1, started recording, and then it played loop 2 afterwards. Then I hit loop 1 again, it waited till the end of loop 2 and started playing loop 1. Then when I hit stop, it waited till the end of loop 1 and then it stopped the whole thing. And at any point within that, I could use the effect as well, which is super, super cool, really, really nice. And of course I could have a backing track going in the background as well. Now, if I press the stop button down, it's deleted loop 2, but we stored loop 1. So if I actually push this button up, there you go. LED's gone off and it's basically deleted loop 1, which is very cool as well. So I could then export, if I'd stored those loops to a digital audio workstation and create a tune with them. So this is actually great from a creative perspective. Now, really quickly, I'm just going to show you the sync mode, where we can have multiple loops going at the same time. So if I was to record something similar in loop 1, I could actually record the bass line and then I could put some chords on loop 2 and have them play together. So we get this kind of effect. So there you can see that basically I can layer up different things on loop 1 and loop 2 and create these big soundscapes. Now if I was to then use the effect as well, even more possibilities. Let me just delete all of that and very quickly show you the decay function just to finish. So if we put the decay function at sort of 12 o'clock, this is going to decay the loops as I record them. So we'll go into loop 1 and we'll just record a chord, and then I'm going to basically record some kind of extra chordal stuff on the top, so we get this. Now if I was to keep overdubbing on top of there, those will start to decay even more. So if we get... So hopefully you could hear by the end there when I was playing the single line stuff, almost all of the chordal stuff had decayed away. So it allows you to create these big soundscapes without getting overrun with too much information. So all in all, considering that this has evolved from that tiny little Ditto looper, super impressive. I think this is a very, very fully featured looper without being over the top with tons of presets, loads of drum machines built in. It's just a really simple to operate looper that's not going to cause you masses of confusion and is eminently affordable as well, and very importantly built like a tank, because you're going to be hitting this thing with your feet. So that is the Ditto X4 from TC Electronics. Check out the text in the magazine. I hope you've enjoyed the review, guys, and I will see you next time.
If you've enjoyed this program, you'll definitely want to check out Guitar Interactive. This free 200-page online guitar magazine is available now at iGuitarMag.com. And if the performances on this show have inspired you to improve your playing techniques, then head on over to LickLibrary.com for some free guitar lessons and great jam tracks.